Hi. Welcome to Live with Ms. Steph. Hi, I am Stephanie E. Farmer, former laboratory scientist and former after-school director, now turned nonprofit founder. I am the founder of Triple F Empowerment, Inc., and I'm glad to be on with you today, Monday, March 17th, folks, 2025. I'm ever so excited to come and hang out with you, give you your weekly Science Club news, as well as do our science activity for the day. So let's hop right into the Science Club news. This Saturday is 4th Saturday. So for those of you who have been watching, you know, is there Science Club this weekend? No, there is not. We do not have Saturday Science Club because Saturday Science Club is on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Saturdays, barring a holiday. So since it is 4th Saturday, it is Community Outreach Saturday. I will actually be at PS 123 doing a youth symposium event put on by a community organization, by the Zetas, and I will be hanging out with them this particular Saturday. That event, once again, is free to the public, and it's open to the public by my understanding, and this is the first time that I am working with this particular group, and so I'm excited to learn and experience some new folks, and to even, I've not done any services or activities at PS 123 before either, and so I'm excited to be at Mahalia Jackson School this coming Saturday. I'm scheduled to be there around 1:30 doing a science fun table. Other details, if there's an update or addition to that information, I will absolutely send it out to you. But once again, this Saturday, instead of Saturday Science Club, it's 4th Saturday, and so we will be doing community outreach. It's a community outreach weekend. For those of you who don't know, thank you so much for watching, and here's a quick little information tip on blurb on how I schedule our Saturday activities. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Saturdays from October through May, we have Saturday Science Club. Then, in more recent years, I've instituted a community outreach Saturday, which means that on 4th Saturdays, I'm out and about in the Harlem community doing different things. This particular Saturday, as I've mentioned, March 22nd, I will be doing a youth symposium. Typically what folks do, should you desire to have me come to your next youth symposium, STEM afternoon, STEAM exploration, health fair, etc., you do need to reach out to me. You can DM me via Instagram if you watch this video and you're like, hey, that's us, we want to do that. Say community event, because this is how people get a hold of me, and several events have come together in that way. So once again, March 22nd, the event is happening from 12 to 4. I'm going to be there from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Once again, that's PS 123, Mahalia Jackson School, on 140th. Okay, so between 7th and 8th on 140th Street. I'm super excited about that. I want to say it's 140th. Yo. So much going on in my brain. 140th. A few days before that, on March 20th, my friends over at T-Mails have asked me to do a parent engagement. So I am your parent engagement special guest. Hi. On March 20th over at T-Mails Thurgood Marshall Lower School on 151st. Y'all already know about it. I'm coming. I'm there. Which means that I am actually going to be at T-Mails 3 days this week. So if you are one of those families, one of those students, this is the day to come actually meet the kooky science teacher that your kid talks about that they have in the afternoon. This is an opportunity for us to talk and meet, and of course for you to learn more about your school as well, because school leadership will be there and all that type of stuff. I will be on the 2nd floor. For those of you who know the T-Mouse building, you know what that means. I'll be on the 2nd floor. Yes, so that's March and I started with March 22nd because normally I give you all, I start my lives with what's going on this particular Saturday. So that's why I started that and worked our way back. For those of my fellow science and like order people who were like, why would you do the 22nd before the 20th? I did that because it's super important to make sure that folks know what's going on for Saturday Science Club, because that's our the big thing I always launch with each and every episode of Live with Miss Steph. I always got to tell you about the happenings for Saturday Science Club. And then, like I said, on March 20th, which is a Thursday, normally I'm at another school. That school happens to be closed this week. But on March 20th, I will have a third foray into the T-Miles community, and I'll be hanging out from 4:30 to 5:30. I will be there participating in a parent engagement event. So please come out. Once again, if you're one of the parents from that school and you're kind of curious to learn more about the programming that I've been providing at that school for several years now. We're going on year 10, dare I say. It's been a while. Year 10, at least 9 years. Okay. I've been there doing some things super fun. Really appreciate all the staff there at that school. So that's where I'll be at, and that's the parent engagement event I'll be doing there. Then coming into the rest of the month, on March 29th, there is no program. So whenever we have a 5th Saturday, it's Miss Steph Goes Party. Really, no, Miss Steph Goes and relaxes. So 5th Saturday, we do not have any programming at all. So if you see me out and about in the community hanging out, just being a regular grown-up, feel free to say hello. But just know that we do not have program on 5th Saturday. So once again, March 20th, parent engagement at T-Miles. March 22nd, this coming Saturday, 4th Saturday, is our community outreach Saturday, and we will be at the youth symposium that is happening from 12 to 4, and I expect to be there from 1:30 to 2:30. There's a bunch of stuff happening that day at the site. My understanding is there's lots of different organizations that you can plug into. So definitely come hang out. And of course, if you're wondering, if you don't already know about the things that happen, yes, I will be distributing free slime for the first 100 children that I interact with. All right. Yes, up to 100 cups of slime will be passed out. I already made it. Go back and watch my time-lapse video on how I make slime. If you haven't seen it, if you're wondering, I did a time-lapse video yesterday that I published how to make slime. Then, as I said, on March 29th, there's no program. Hang out, chill, enjoy your family. And I will be enjoying some relaxed time. Yes? Then going into April, folks, we are starting to get closer. You know how I always like to give you updates on not only what's going on like in Science Club proper, but like telling you about upcoming close dates for DOE and all that type of stuff. So DOE spring break is coming up that 3rd week of April. Okay. Also, you're going to have your young people are going to start to do testing. If your child is in a testing grade, they should have already done, their school should have already given them at least one mock test. If not, you can look sample questions up on the New York State testing website. And for those of you wondering as far as when science tests are administered, science tests are administered in 5th and 8th grade, and then there are regions during their high school years. If you are wanting to prepare your 5th grader in particular for the science test, I'm going to be having a lot of content on that over the next couple of weeks, or really over the next 2 months, because typically that's one of the things that folks bring me in for, as in for a traveling science teacher. If you're bringing me in to work with 4th or 5th grade, most likely we're doing some conversations and strategic, intentional activities around supporting success on that exam. The exam has a significant amount of reading, so you're wanting to support your young person in doing reading. And I'm talking about this science test, okay? There's a lot of reading. It's administered on the computer, so you definitely want to make sure that your child knows how to use the scroll function, and you want to encourage them to do a lot of, make sure that they're reading all of the information and that they respond to the questions. Sample questions are publicly available online. Additionally, all of the tests, all of the elementary school tests, well, all seems like a big, for the last several years, even back when it was on a paper, a written test, although the written tests are available online. And the 2024 test has been released. That is a good place to start. Released online to the public. It's not something that you have to be a teacher to get access to. You can look it up online, and I strongly advise that you do that, especially if, like, say your family is not, if your child is not opting out for whatever reason, you've not opted your child out. That is a personal decision. I'm not going to make comments on how to do that because that's not my wheelhouse. Y'all know science instruction is my wheelhouse, okay? And so definitely make sure that if your child is testing and they're a 5th or an 8th grader, you need to make sure that they're preparing not only for the ELA test and the math test, they have a science state test as well. Typically, the science state test is administered after the other two kind of main tests, okay? And I don't say main test as in the science test is less important. I mean, science, as you know, is extremely important to me, but just know that it is not administered every year, you know what I mean, and not administered to every grade. 5th and 8th grade are now the science testing grades. A few years back, it was 4th. Be advised, that has been changed. I want to be super clear about that. This is your weekly Science Club news, so I'm trying to make sure that you are aware and the things that you need to be looking at and looking forward for, and how to support your young person. 5th grade, okay? Read through it with them. Do not send your child in, especially if your kid is not at one of my schools and is not at a school for whatever reason that has had any science direct instruction. You know that that's the reason that there's even a science club, because there are multiple schools at various socioeconomic levels and various demographics. That is an across the board gap in these here United States. That's why I come on and do what I do. So really do not presume that your child is being prepped for that test, because if they don't have science on a regular basis, they probably are not being prepped for it at school. That's no shade to the schools. They have a ton of stuff going on right now. Hello. You don't know. What I am saying, this is your opportunity to prepare your child for that. And when it comes to the 5th grade test, their reading ability is going to play a very, very large role. Okay? Not just the content, not just science content. Reading is a significant component. If you look at the test, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Okay? Like I said, we'll be discussing that more and more, probably more over on YouTube. When I do like the YouTube lives that I'm doing, I'll probably spend more time with during those weekly, that Thursday live, doing some prep conversations over there and just talking about like the content that you want to like be looking at and all that type of stuff. All right. And again, a lot of that stuff is public. You can look that up. Okay, because it's not something that's supposed to be like hidden. There's no reason for it. And so it's not hidden. It's really not. Okay, you can look it up. And it would be a great thing to support your child's educational experience in that. All right. Other things that are happening. Okay. Like I said, so April testing. April, May test. It's happening. It's that time of year. Your child should have had at least one mock test in at least one of the subjects that are tested, depending on their grade. Okay, third through eighth grade, they are getting math and ELA. All of them are getting math and ELA. 5th and 8th graders are getting math, ELA, and science. And the science one is after the other two. Okay. And then of course spring break is coming up. Spring break is going to be smack in between testing. Okay, and so just be ready for that. Yeah. It's a whole week out. Programs that you can look into. Typically schools that run a city funded, a DYCD funded summer camp, most likely that school or site will have some type of break camp available to you. And so definitely look that up. Especially for those of you who can afford, not going away for spring break. Spring break is for a week. That is definitely a break that I would suggest to, if you have not already prepared. If you know your family is going to be in town, y'all, this is me. Remember, camp classes, community, and consulting. This is me being community auntie, science auntie, just bringing that to your attention and encouraging you to prepare for that. My videos are a way to, especially for my folks who are homeschooling and you're already going to be home anyway, and you're already doing those things. My videos are a great way to add STEAM. All 5 letters of STEAM are already intentionally incorporated into all of the activities that I show y'all. So you are doing quite a bit with your young person when you do that. Other things that are going on. April. So for the April Saturday Science Club, let's talk about April and then just leave it there. I'm not going to go into May just yet because there's a lot going on already, right? So April, the 1st and 2nd Saturdays of April, we will have Saturday Science Club from 12 to 2 over Wadley, where we do things and where we have a great time. Yes, shout out to Wadley. Y'all know I always like to shout them out. Shout out to USAWA Weekend and all the things that they do over there. Also the safety officers that are there, shout out to them. They're super community oriented and so just welcoming. Yes, they are officers. That's what safety officers are. And they're welcoming and they're about the community and they know your child and they keep an eye on all the things that are happening in that building. They do a lot. That building is huge and they really do a lot. So shout out to them and the work that they do there and their leader. You know who you are. She keeps everything in order over there. So April, the 1st and 2nd Saturdays in April, we will have Saturday Science Club as usual, as per usual. The 3rd Saturday in April is April 19th. We will not have Saturday Science Club. Why? Because it's a holiday weekend. That is Good Friday and Easter weekend for those who celebrate. That's a holiday weekend, and so we do not have program that weekend. That being said, I will be doing community outreach and community events. The 19th is confirmed. Additional information, I'm still waiting on the details as far as which park, but we're going to be in a park. Yeah. And so that will be super, super fun. I'm excited to partner with these folks. And yes, this is yet another new partner. Y'all, I'm so blessed this year. I'm so excited that Triple F Empowerment Inc., the home of Mrs. Steph Science Club, is getting to hang out with lots of different folks in different parts of Harlem. Harlem may be but so big, but it is broad and deep with various members of various diasporas. And so it's super cool to hang out with folks. And I'm glad that we're getting to hang out with new and old friends. So that's new friends on August 19th. Then August 26th, stand by. We're still working out the deets for not August, April. My apologies, April, okay? April 19th, Saturday, April 19th, and then Saturday, April 26th. Those details are going to be coming your way. We are expecting to be hanging out with one of our old partners, for folks we've been working with for the last 4 years and doing fun things. Yep. And so that's it for your news. Oh, last but not least, Summer Science Club 2025. Early bird registration is now closed. So, meaning we are now into regular registration, meaning your $50 per week deposit is now in addition to the $425 per week Summer Science Club fee. For those of you who wondering, I thought y'all were a nonprofit, guess what? Yes, we are. And actually that $425 number is less than it cost us. It actually cost us $700 per child per week to provide the STEAM enrichment immersion experience that we provide every summer with great joy, with humility, frankly. I really go into working on different things and making it what it needs to be, making sure that we are following regulations and all that type of stuff. Y'all will be getting the obligatory annual post of me at CPR training and my first aid. It's time for me to do my little first aid refresh, and I will be doing all of those things to not only be educating and exposing your children to STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics in a super, super fun way, but to also make sure that they are safe, and that they get to freely play because they are with someone who is keeping an eye on them while they freely play. So that's it for the Science Club news portion. Let's hop into the activity. Y'all, this activity, in my opinion, is like one of the simpler activities that we do. And legit, you need its 3 materials. I would say this is along the lines of Oobleck. We did Oobleck last Monday. As far as the amount of materials that you need, and as far as the concept being able to be taught throughout the years. Remember, I told you Oobleck is actually, there are PhD level folks that are study Oobleck because it's a non-Newtonian fluid, and like the amount of pressure, that all that type of stuff is what they study on higher levels. On younger levels, we let 2-year-olds play with it. It's something that is fun to play with. So today, we're going to take these materials. I've got some food coloring, water, paper towel, and some cups, okay? And do a little, you might see this with like various names. You might see it called walking water. Earlier today, I called it climbing water just because I wanted the kids to really focus. You know, I have my twos on Monday morning, okay? And for the instructors and the adults in that classroom, hi, if you happen to be watching the video. This is the video I promised, by the way. So, yeah. You've got water, all right? This water could be any temperature of water. Now, remember how last week with Oobleck, I was like, don't put hot water in that because you're making gravy. Or lumpy finger paint, okay? Water, it can be any temperature that's safe for the children to touch. You don't want it to be too hot if you're working with littles. If you're working with older children, you can test how this reaction behaves at different temperatures. You know, I'm always trying to let you know how you can differentiate what we're doing for different age groups, and also how to turn it into an actual scientific and to an actual controlled experiment, right? But anywho, for me, for the littles, we're just doing a little room temperature water, all right? The next thing that you need is a paper towel strip. This is optional. This is the part, I say again, this is the part that you need to order online or get in your science materials. You know, every once in a while I use these. These are my qualitative filters. Love them. They're super fun to kind of introduce children to quote unquote real. To me, everything's a real science material, but as far as the stuff that we actually used to use, like in the lab per se, you also will need some scissors. But as far as the three main things you must have for this experiment, you need water, cup, food coloring, colors of your choice, and we'll talk about why you might choose certain colors, and some type of paper. Okay? Another way that you can make it a controlled experiment is by changing, so remember I talked to you about changing the water temperature. You can also change the paper. Okay? You can use different types of paper. You can use different paper towels. Okay? This movement of the water up, right? Because, hello, we know that with gravity, our thing's supposed to go down. Okay? Or technically, let's be a little bit more specific, to the center, okay, of the object with the largest mass. We're sitting on that object, okay, and that's the Earth, and so gravity actually is pulling things to the center of that mass. To our perception, we perceive it as being pulled down, okay. So just to be clear about that, gravity is not just pulling things down. It's down relative to us, but it's actually pulling to the center of the largest object, which for us, again, like I said, is the Earth. And then all of us are spinning on the Earth, and we're getting pulled towards the center of the sun, right? That's what gravitational force, that's what gravitational pull does. All right, so little side science to you. Yes, it's in my brain at all times, all of this stuff, okay? And it's actually applied all day, every day. Whether not you know it, this is stuff that's happening to us. All right, so I'm going to go with purple. If you know, you know how I feel about purple. You see how little? Do you see how little? Very, very little, especially if you're working with young kids and you don't want their hands to just be like all technicolor. I'm going to do pink. We'll talk in a little bit as far as why I'm doing 2 cups. You do not have to have 2 cups. Okay? You do not have to, but you can. Just a little bit of food coloring. Now, we always talk about whether or not it has to be the gel food coloring and all that types of stuff. For me, it's easier to do that swipe with the gel food coloring. It's harder. The gel food coloring tends to be a bit difficult for the children to properly manipulate. And so you can kind of make that decision if you're working with your elementary school students. I prefer, it's my preference that the elementary school students add it. I do have some students right now that I don't have add their own food coloring until they demonstrate a little bit more aptitude for proper materials management. But that being said, that is another thing that you can do is you can have your students add that. Okay. You see how little water you need. The point of this is for them to see, like I said, that the water can be moved up. Now, that is through something called capillary action. All right, so first option, which is what we did today. Stick the paper into the water. The kids watch the water climb up or walk up the paper. That is in the wrong direction. Okay? Hi. Thank you for watching Live with Miss Steph. We are on doing a quick little activity at the end of our weekly Science Club News episode. And we're doing a little capillary action, quote unquote, walking water or climbing water. All right? So this is the simplest version of it. So for my 2s, and when I say 2s, I don't mean grade 2. Those of you who've been following me for a long time know that I work with children as young as age 2. All right. So for my 2s, you can tell all of these things are things that are not going to be hurtful. And should a child accidentally put their hand in their mouth, right, we don't have any any hazards. Okay. This is it. A little water, food coloring, paper towel strip. Okay. Now, if we want to start to really hook this up the way that you would typically see it online, sometimes you see like the rainbow walking water and all that type of stuff. You're going to take a longer paper towel strip. Okay. Kind of fold it. And this is why we now need 2 cups of water. You can do this in a bit taller cup. And again, now you see our third variable that we can do. Remember, I already told you you could change the type of paper. You can change the temperature of paper. And you can change, not the temperature of paper, temperature of the water. And you can change the sizes of the cup and the levels of the water. Okay? But this you're going to put here. Okay? They're going to go up. And of course, meet. Okay? They meet. And the children can observe what color that is when they meet, right? So you can see how you can do some coloring. Remember, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So you can do color mixing, a whole color mixing conversation. You can decide that you put just a dot of the color in there, like how I laid down the food coloring, and not add the water in your second cup. Okay. Sometimes people have set it up. I actually have videos from several years ago when I used to do back during kind of like the more heightened time of COVID. And so I was doing Saturday Science Club literally just on Facebook and Instagram Live. And so I have one where I set up the rainbow of colors and the cups. We did empty cups in between and the colors mixed and all that type of stuff. It was super, super fun. So you can always do that as well. You can time this for your older students if you're trying to teach them about time and collecting data, right? So you can time how long it takes depending on, you can time how long it takes for the water to meet. You can time how long it takes for the water to come out of the one cup to the other cup. You can time those types of things. You can also now, so what I will say that it's going to be harder for you to see is that this whole paper is wet, but you should be able to see that not all of it. So the water has gone all the way up here. Now we get into a chromatography conversation. Okay. Next variable that we can introduce, different colors. So you can do everything just like this, but only change the colors, okay, that are added. And then you can observe the color separation that happens. You can observe how high each color goes, because the colors go to different levels, and that's how they are separated, and that's how you can determine what colors make up a secondary or tertiary color and all that type of stuff. So that becomes super fun. I'm gonna lay this down. And I hope it's obvious why I needed the scissors, right? You cut your strips. You can have the children do that. It depends on how old your students are, right? I told you with my 2s, I'm pre-cutting all the strips. And I'm adding the water. I'm adding that. The thing they add is the paper strip to the thing, okay? Your 3s and 4s, they can have different kinds of paper. That's where this comes in. Okay, so I like to make this straight on the bottom. I actually use a paper cutter to do it, but I want to use materials that y'all have. Okay, and yes, I said y'all. My mother was from a part of the country where they say y'all. Also, random fact, I lived in Texas for a small period of my life. Anywho, so cut. Okay. And again, this is my qualitative filter paper. And this is an item that needs to be ordered from a science material place. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to put this here. The properties of this particular paper, okay, allows it to be a type of paper that will stand up. Okay. Now it's going to start to sink the longer, like the higher the water goes. Okay. So yes, this activity, you see all these variations that I've just demonstrated for you. So let's review very quickly your basic materials to do the basic version of this. Paper towel strips, food coloring of your choice, water. You want to add some variation to it, do multiple cups. If you want to add even more, you can do multiple cups, multiple colors. You can try different kinds of paper. You can try different temperatures of water. Now, of course, talk back to me. Tell me if you change the paper and you do this with different types of paper, should you change anything else in your other samples? No, right? You set up samples with multiple kinds of paper, but you make your water level the same. You would keep the same color. You would make your water the same temperature, and you would set up several different samples and observe. And that one, in my opinion, would be a great one to have your students measure how long it takes the water to move a certain distance and do like a bar graph, okay? And have them record the time and then put it into a bar graph. These are things that would help them prep for 5th grade state test, right? Because they need to know bar graphs on that. They need to know not only how to read a bar graph, but there's a possibility they will be asked to make a bar graph and put data that they've been provided with into a bar graph. And again, it's going to be computerized, so they need to be able to do that on the computer, okay? So I want to show you this again so that you're aware. The water level is here, but the pink pigment has only gone up to here, most of it. And again, that's what makes it a chromatography activity, to where you're doing color separation. So you see, you can teach a lot of different things with this activity. Also, how long does it take to dry? See, I'm telling y'all, there's so many things that you could do with this one activity. Have them do stopwatches, right? Because these are things that kids need to be able to use. That's a tool, okay? Remember, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So you see how we're using all of those letters. All of those letters are being activated, okay? All of those parts of science, because to me, they're all parts of science, right? Are being activated, and children are accessing content and skills necessary to observe, to first of all design their experiment that will test whatever they've decided they want to test. So they have to ask a question, then design an appropriate experiment to test that question, right? They've made a hypothesis, which is their predicted answer to the question. Then they need to observe. So how are you going to collect data? And then how are you going to then communicate the data back out? Am I doing a bar graph? Am I just writing my observation in bullet points? Conclusions. How do I frame a conclusion? Okay. If my hypothesis was that the pink goes higher than the purple, if changing the colors is what I decided to do, so I used my filter paper and the pink goes higher than the purple, It's my hypothesis. I have to test that. I don't get to just say that. That's not how science works. Okay? So then I need to test that and measure. Okay? Pink goes higher than the purple. After it sits for a day and a half or after it sits for 10 minutes. Again, all of these things they have to learn to think through. They need to be able to plan that. Your child should be able to plan that out and then actually execute, right? The standard is to be able to design and conduct, not just think, oh, I think, well, maybe I have this question. So they need to be able to ask the question, design it, conduct it, and then interpret the information that comes out of that experiment that they have conducted. All right? I hope this has been helpful to be able to see how paper towel, water, some food coloring, some cups is a science activity and is something that you can try at home, in your center, or at your after-school program. This has been your March 17th, 2025 episode of Live with Ms. Steph. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.